It's decal time. Hi, and welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and part number 6 of the Monogram 1/48 scale B-25J Mitchell. Okay, in the last episode, I got the seams finished up, all the filling, sanding stuff that needed to be done. I got the primer sprayed on, and then I got the lower surface neutral gray and the upper olive drab sprayed, as well as the metal nose and the red cowl rings. I also got the machine guns in the top turret and the nose. I got those painted as well. And once I get near the end, I'll do some little bit of highlighting with some metallic colors to make it look more metallic. So now I am ready to start working on the decals on this thing. Now I chose 199 because it has the metal nose on it. No other reason. Just has the metal nose. I like that. I like stuff that's kind of mixed up a little bit. And once I started digging into this and I looked, another unique feature to this aircraft is the rudder. The rudder's been replaced, so half of the tail marking is gone, or was gone on the real thing. So instead of it looking like this, it's only half of it. So that's another cool thing that I like about this aircraft. I like unique markings, and it's even better if there's unique story to go along with it. I don't know if there is on this particular aircraft. I looked a little bit, but I really couldn't find too much information about this aircraft. But you know, nevertheless, I really like the marking options, so that's why I went with it. All right, so let's get cracking on applying some decals. All right, ready to start putting some decals on. So the one I'm going to start with is this one here for the rudder, which is decal W. Now it looks like the line here where the rudder meets the vertical stabilizer, or whatever you call it, is just slightly behind this roundish looking part. And it looks like 1, 2, 2.5, slightly less than 2.5 of these little sharp points here. So that is my lineup point. Well, this shows it a little bit better. 1, 2, 3. The third one is just slightly behind and lines up right on here. So it's just gonna be a matter of paying attention, getting in the right spot. So I'm going to be using Mark Fit decal solution. That's what I used on the last decals I did, and it seemed to work really good. The only reason I haven't used it in the past is because this would kind of mar up certain paints. So I quit using it for a while. I got it again to use for these recent build using Tamiya decals, and it worked great. And it worked great on this particular paint. So that's what I'm going to use. So let's get this going. Dip it in the water, let it sit. All right, there it is. So we'll see how it works out. So with that, I can move on to the rest. So I think I will do the one for the other side. I've still got to do the number 9 there, but I'll do that once that's done. I don't want to mess around with that, so I'll go ahead and put the one on here. So you've seen me do one. I'm not going to do them all on camera because that would be quite boring, and yeah, don't want to do that to you. So I'm going to start doing this and come back. All right, real quick, I almost forgot to do something here. Well, I didn't forget to do it. I changed my mind. But this kit, this particular aircraft, 199, did not have the side gun pods. So I was going to use the decals, but then I thought, no, I'd rather paint it. So I copied these, tried to cut them out, wasn't working because, you know, I couldn't get it exact. Well, then I started thinking about it, and there's a couple things going on here. So first of all, here's one of the gun pod situations. Now, one thing that these decals do not replicate is this flange around the front here. And that was a feature on these gun pods. So I thought I'm going to try something else. So what I did is using some Tamiya tape. I laid a couple of pieces out, set this on there, traced it out with a marker, and trimmed it with a knife. Now, first I was like, man, this is not coming out perfect. Well, in looking at photographs of these gun pods, they were not perfect. I'm sure this was just thin sheet aluminum, you know, stamped into this shape. And the ones I looked at that you could actually see the gun pods, they were, you know, there was some waviness going on and all this other kind of stuff. So I thought, okay, I'll be cool. So what I did is I cut it out of the tape, applied it on here, and then sprayed it. So we'll peel the tape off and see what it looks like. And there we go. That is a reasonable facsimile of a painted aircraft with the gun pods removed, I think. All right, I'm stoked. That'll work. Cool. So I will continue on with decals. All right, so now let's catch up. I got the decals on the wings done. I got the fuselage decals on. I need to do a little bit more work on this one here because there's like this weird circle business going on in the on the side of the aircraft. I need to trim it and then put some more Solvaset. I switched to Tester's decal set and Solvaset because this stuff, not that, this stuff was doing some weird things on this side. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of touch up here and kind of get that fixed up. But it's not bad. It's pretty easily fixed. But here's the thing. The instructions for this aircraft, it says for here to use the kit decals. Now the reason for that is the decals that come with this decal set from Eagle, it has this black border on it. And apparently on two of the aircraft that you're able to do, which is Fatso and 199, you use the kit decals, which do not have that black edge around it. Okay, so these decals were from 1991, so there was a bit of risk involved. However, they worked quite well. I was really stoked. And I don't know who printed their decals for them. I guess Monogram did because the decal sheet says copyright Monogram 1991. But yeah, 32-year-old decals, and they work like a champ. Now, whenever I put them in the water, and I pull them out, and I let them loosen from the backing, there was this weird milky business going on. So I don't know if it was adhesive that like dissolved and was just old or whatever, but I just kind of wiped that away, and it worked. It worked really nice. And then when I put the Solvaset on there, it settled in really good on the details. So like hopefully you can see there around that little like removable plate looking thing. So yeah, stoked. Got these done. Now I've got some serious wrinkling going on here, and I'm gonna try and take care of it, but it's just, I don't know really why it did that. I don't know if it's because of this, because that's what I used on it. So I don't know. I need to learn to stick with what I know. but it's okay. So I got those on. I got these decals here, which are these, I don't know, mission markings or bombs they've dropped or whatever, and then a bunch of names and stuff. And then I got the props, the yellow tips painted, and the prop decals on. So with that, the decals are complete. So the next thing I need to do is I need to start working on the landing gear and the wheels, the main landing gear and wheels. And that's going to involve cutting them from the pour plugs. Hope I'm saying that right. I've got to do the wheels, landing gear, and I should be getting close to being able to spray a clear on this. So let me work on that stuff a little bit and then I'll come back. All right, so the wheels have been painted using MRP tire rubber, which is a very good color. So before I get too far on the landing gear, I had to glue some extra parts on I had forgotten, which are these like little things here. So I've got to repaint those. So before I get started on that, I figured I'd test out some washes here. Now I'm not going to do a wash on the whole aircraft, pin wash like on panel lines, all that kind of stuff. I'm really only doing it around details and operable seams, you know, like where the trim tabs are, around this stuff here, and you know, anywhere where something is removable or actually operates. Okay, I'm just not just gonna be doing panel lines willy-nilly. So also around some of the rivets, some of the seams, stuff like that. I am going to do it here mainly because it's on an inside surface. All right, so that's pretty much it. That's all I'm going to do on this. So just to give you an example of what it's going to look like, here is the other side already done. Now, let's see. All right, so I'm going to work on that stuff a little bit, and then I'll come back and we'll see how it looks. All right, I got the pin wash stuff done, not a whole lot of it. I got the flat coat on using my preferred flat these days, Tamiya XF86, cut 50/50 with Tamiya X20A thinner. So I got the flat on it, and one thing that I did almost forget to do is I almost forgot to paint these fuel filler caps red. Now it doesn't say to do them in the instructions, but on practically every aircraft kit that I've built, US aircraft, it's got red caps, so that's what I did. Right or wrong, that's what they are. So I did that. Now here you can see pretty good the pin wash I did, and I used different colors for top and bottom. For the top, I used dark brown wash excuse me, for green vehicles, and for the lower surfaces I used deep gray panel line wash, which is a pretty dark gray, but it is a gray nevertheless. And the reason I did that is I wanted to I didn't, you know, because it's gray lower, green upper, that's why I went with those. So I got those done. You can see it on the the tail here as well. the horizontal stabilizers. Now you may also be able to see that I have using Tamiya XF1 flat black and just a little bit of XF64 red brown, highly diluted with X28 thinner. I made some smoke, and I used, you guys probably don't want to know all this, but I'm showing you anyway. For stuff like that, I like to use this TRN1 because I have a lot of control with it. Unlike my other airbrush, which is a single action. This is good for spraying solid coats and, you know, clears and stuff like that. But this one right here is really good for, it's a double action. It's really good for layering stuff. So I used that, and I sprayed some smoke staining on the nacelles, on the upper wing. I didn't go real heavy with it. I mean, because, you know, there's some aircraft that are really filthy, but there's a lot of these B-25s that weren't as filthy. So that's the way I opted to go with this one. I went a little heavier on the B-17 I did recently, but decided not to go that heavy on this one. So I got that. So now I think I am ready to glue the wings and the vertical stabilizer / rudders into position. So I think I'll do these first, and then I'll do the wings. Maybe I'll do these first. I don't know. But the fit on these, as you can see here, hopefully, is really quite nice. Okay, there's hardly any gap around it, and I don't know if you've watched the rest of the series, and you may not, so I'll just tell you what I did. Is I created spacers after I had glued the front and the back of the wing. They were just a little bit narrow in chord, which is this measurement here, and I would either have a gap on the top or the bottom. So by experimenting with different thicknesses of evergreen styrene plastic, I was able to get that to where it fits just splendidly. So that's a trick to remember, and it's not just for this kit. Any kit that you may have that has a fit like that, or if you just need to thicken it up, just use some shims like that. This is kind of nice because the way it is constructed here with these flat parts, it worked really good for just using little shims to create the space I needed. So there's that. So real quick, before I start gluing those on, I want to talk a little bit about something that's kind of weird here. Let me get, I'll use this will work. So you may not be able to see it, but inside the wing here, there is a hole, and that is for the landing gear. Now, as you can see here, the landing gear is round, but it has a flat spot. So the corresponding hole is round with a flat spot. And it just fits in like that. However, see something wrong there? When you put that in there, see this part right here? This actuator arm or whatever it is, and this goes just right under the surface in there. So let's see if I can get it to kind of go into position. There we go. Anyway, and then that drops down in the hole. This part here is supposed to be in the back. So that means I need to use this one. However, this post here matches that hole, but it's backwards. And it's like that on both wings. Now I looked and looked, and this is all, except for this part right here, this, it's all molded in one piece. So I didn't put anything on backwards. You know, like if I put that on backwards, that might have been a problem. That might have been why it was like that, but it's all one piece. So for some reason that, and this hole inside of here, it's molded into these parts, so it's not like I could have flip-flopped them. So I don't know if any of you other people out there have had this situation, but it's kind of weird. So if you have, please put something in the comments section down below. Or if you built this kit and didn't have a problem at all with it, I'd like to know about it, because I don't know. And I've corresponded and checked with some of my modeling cronies, and it was just a mystery to us all. So anyway, but all that said, it's no big deal. All I did was take my handy dandy cutter here, and I cut a new flat spot right here. So now it will fit properly. All right, so it's no big deal, but it's something to be aware of if you build this kit. And I'd be interested to know if it's like that on other people's kits. So anyway, so I'm going to work a little bit more on this. I think I'm going to get the wings glued in place, the vertical stabilizers, and then I will glue the landing gear legs into place. I can start thinking about putting the wheels and the landing gear doors on. I haven't decided if I'm going to do all that and then some weathering, which I probably will, because I like to save some of this weathering for last, because I'm going to be using some oils here to create streaks and such, and it would probably be best to do that last so I don't smear it around. So anyway, I'm going to get cracking, get this stuff glued together, and then we'll come back. Okay, we got some stuff drying on here, so let me talk a little bit about how I did the paint, because I haven't really talked about that. So for my paints, for olive drab, I have discovered a method that I kind of like. So what I do is I spray a base with SMS Premium US Olive Drab FS 33070. I don't care about the FS numbers, but it's on there. But I do like the SMS Premium paints, and the olive drab is pretty good. One thing I have discovered is it is a bit fragile, but it's easily touched up. So I do that as a base, and then the next thing I do is spray any markings, like these stripes, the red, spray those, get those in place. Then I do the decals. Then, using one of these, I think they're the Ushi van der Rosten brand or whatever they are, using this right here. Yeah, it's Ushi van der Rosten, yeah. I use this, and just various places, no place in particular, but you know, I'll hold it away from the kit a bit, and I will use this doped linen, and I will just hit it different places to leave some splotches, just to break up underneath a bit. Once that dries, then I take, did I say I used MRP doped linen? That's the color I use to do the splotches. I don't know if I said that, but that's what I use. It's really thin, so it's real easy to keep from overdoing it. So I'll do that. Then once that sits for a while, then I will get the MRP olive drab, ANA 613, after 1943, World War II USA. I will use this as a fading coat. This here is a little bit lighter than the SMS. You can kind of see a difference right there between this and this. This one's a bit greener. This one's a little grayer, let's call it. And then I'll go through, and then any of the spots that may be a little heavy with the doped linen splotches, I'll spray some of this on there, and then just hit like upper surfaces, not so much on the sides, but more on the upper surfaces with a little bit on the sides. Panels, different areas like that, just to give it more of a splotchy, dusty, sun-faded appearance. And that's pretty much it. That's all I do. And it works out pretty good. For the, I think I explained when I was talking about getting ready to mount the wings, I used Tamiya XF1 flat black, highly thinned, with a little bit of XF64, which is a red brown, and created the exhaust staining. Didn't go overboard with it, just enough so you could see what it was. So after I did that, I got the wings glued on, and I just now glued the vertical stabilizer / rudders in place. Now you can see a little bit of shiny from the glue. Possibly you can see that. So I'm going to hit that with some flat XF86, Tamiya XF86, to knock down that sheen. So I'm going to have to let this sit for a little while, and then once I do, then I can flip it over and I can start working on the landing gear. And if you'll notice from a previous segment, I had some concerns about the landing gear and the direction that it fit. And yeah, we'll talk some more about that. It's one of these full disclosure deals. So anyway, come back in a few minutes. All right, so I've got the landing gear installed. So let's talk about the landing gear. If you'll remember in a previous segment, I complained about the holes being incorrect and everything being twisted the wrong way. So thanks to cooler heads, i.e. Jim over at Shutter Ace, he said, aren't the oleos, these little scissor things, supposed to be pointing forward? So I hopped on the old Googles, checked out some photos. Lo and behold, yes, they are supposed to be facing forward. So I was completely wrong. There is nothing wrong with the landing gear or the holes that they go in. It was all me. So full disclosure, I blew it, but thanks to Jim, got it figured out. So got those installed. So now while the landing gear is drying, curing, however you want to phrase it, I shall slide that out of the way, and then I can start assembling these wheels. So on the wheels, there are like little notchy thingies, and in the hubs, there are notchy thingies. And you want to make sure that you put these thingies facing the right direction. So the one with the hole goes on the side with the hole. So let's put that fits right there like that. So whoops. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some gel super glue and put those in place. And then I will have to put the outer hubs in place as well. The front, I've already got that glued in place. That glues onto the kit landing gear. So let me demonstrate here. What I'm going to do, take a little bit of this. Now I don't want to put a whole lot on here because I don't want it oozing up into the open part of the spoked area. So I'm going to try and be sparing here. And then make sure that fits on the notchety part like that. And then let that, oh geez, yeah, okay. Whew, I thought I put it on the wrong side, but I didn't. So there's that. So I will do the same on the rest of these. And then I can think about gluing these in place. Alright, so after much wailing and gnashing of teeth, I got the wheels installed, and it was a pain. I ended up having to use this 5-minute epoxy to get those stupid things to stay in place. The hole size is not very snug on the axles, so it was a little bit of a pain. So anyway, I did that. So next thing I want to do, and probably one of the last, is I want to do a little bit of staining on the bottom of this thing from fluids and such. And for that, I'm going to use 502 Abteilung engine grease. It's a really good color for doing this kind of stuff. So I'm going to do that. I'm also going to do a little bit of try and discolor this a little bit. One of my home slice friends, Mr. Deck over at Shutter Ace, I had shown him a photo of this, and he was saying that, you know, this front end just looks too uniform, which I agree. So I'm going to try and do some stuff with some oils on that. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to do that first. I also need to do a little bit of something on the bottom of the lower portions of this, but I'll mess with that in a little bit. Alright, so I was saying that I needed to dirty up the underneath of this a little bit, and here's what I've decided to do. Now, I've already done it here, and you can kind of compare to what it looks like up here. But all I did was I got some clean mineral spirits and just put a light coat on there, on these parts here. And then using streaking grime, which is the first time I've used streaking grime on anything. I tested it elsewhere on this aircraft, so I decided to use it. It's kind of a brownish, dirty color. And just using my liner brush, just put some dots there, 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 there. You know, it's all bleeding and just, you know, kind of soaking in. Then I took this slightly damp and just streaked it like this with the in the direction of airflow, just to make it look a little bit dirty. And there's some particulate matter in there, some fuzz and stuff. I think that's from my paper towel. So I'll just, once this dries really good, I'll wipe that off and I should be good to go. So that's what I'm going to do on the rest of this. So I'm going to work on that, and then once I do that, then I'm going to come back and do some oil staining, you know, like streaking from, you know, fluid leaks and that kind of stuff. And then I should be getting really close to being done with this thing. So yeah, come back in a few minutes. All right, so I got a little bit of oil fluid staining going on there. Got some staining done on the aluminum part of the nose. So I think that's about it for this video. All I have left to do is put the props on and take off the masks, and this will be done. So part 6 of the Monogram 1/48 scale B-25J will be complete. When I come back for part number 7, I will be doing the final wrap up, my comments and thoughts on this kit, and a quick slideshow. So if you enjoyed following along on this and see the rest of the build, I'll put a link on the end screen of this video, so you can start at part 1 if you like. And if you hit subscribe, you can follow along with my other videos and builds. So that's it. As always, thanks for watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and I will see you all later.